I'm always curious about people's, because not writing novels is a different, I wrote a lot of memoirs, which is in my journalistic experience easy for me because I interview people, they tell me stuff, I wrote it, and it's real. You have a world that you built with the Gilded Ones. First of all, the cover is beautiful. That doesn't exist. It's fantasy. So where did this story come from? And tell us about it.
So The Gilded Ones is a young adult fantasy novel. It's deeply feminist. It's set in an African-inspired world where there's a group of girls who are considered demons because they're faster and stronger than regular people. But then actual demons come to this world, and these girls are offered a choice. Either they go off and fight these demons or they will be killed. And this novel definitely comes from just my upbringing. I'm from Sierra Leone, West Africa, born and raised, came here when I was 9.
Sierra Leone. And tell us, for those people who are geographically challenged, Sierra Leone sits between, and for the record, I did my African ancestry. My peoples come from Sierra Leone. These are the folks that were on the Amistad, if I am not mistaken. These
Yes,
folk. Yeah.
The Mendes.
Yes, the Mendes, yeah, and the Timne and the Mendes are from Sierra Leone.
Okay, I'm Timney.
See, okay, hey cousin. All right, so where does Sierra Leone sit on this big continent?
So Sierra Leone is on the west coast of Africa. It's small. It's like the size of South Carolina, and it's between Guinea and Liberia. Blink and you'll miss it.
Okay, all right. You were there since 9, and I'm always curious because again, we have no knowledge of Africa. Most of us who are Black Americans on purpose. It's been demonized. It's been told to be a dark continent and not civilized. Primitive.
Oh, I hate those words.
Yes, but
oh my God, my neck is like already itching when you say that. And I completely agree with you. Like that. It was very interesting to me because when I came to America at 9 and people started talking about things like dark continent, I'm like, what do you mean? Because I grew up with an understanding of African history. I knew that there were walls in Benin that were once 4 times the Great Wall of China. I knew that there were libraries in Timbuktu. I knew about the castles in Ethiopia. I knew about the fortresses in old Zimbabwe. So, like, when people were like, oh, y'all, like, only have huts and things like that, I'm like, yes, we have huts. But we also have grand civilizations and kingdoms, beautiful, glorious kingdoms. And really, that at the core of it was what I wanted to show to the world, because it was always very difficult for me when people were always saying these things about Africa, and I had a different understanding and perspective, being actually from there, born and raised. So that's a huge part of where the Gilded Ones comes from. But it also comes from the fact that Sierra Leone, where I'm from, is deeply patriarchal. But what country isn't, honestly? Because, like, I grew up in Georgia, in Atlanta, and that was also a different type of patriarchy, So when I went to college, and I went to Spelman College, AUC love all the way, I started to sort of have classes on feminism, but not only that, on African diaspora in the world, the diaspora of Africans across the world. Because, like, one of the things is when you come to America as an African, or as a Black person rather, for me, I've noticed that there's sort of this rewriting of what Blackness is, and I have a different understanding of it. And I felt like when I came here, there were all these ideas about what Blackness was, and I sort of forgot a little bit about what I'd learned growing up about the history and stuff like that. But then when I went to Spelman again, it was like, oh, here's the history again. And I was like, oh, wait a second, I've been sleeping. I'm awake again. And it was in that sort of space that all of this stuff started moving in me, because I wanted to create a world where I could explain to people in like a very easy way what a patriarchal society looks like, who benefits and who doesn't, and how do you fight back against it. But I also wanted to bring my love of Africa, the continent, because I do go into different places in my book. although I've made them my own. But I wanted to bring that love to the world.
Namina. What does Namina mean? Namina.
So Namina.
Namina. All right. Wait. Thank you for correcting me very graciously. Namina.
No worries. So Namina, to my understanding, Namina is a Timni name, and there's two versions of it. There's Lamina and there's Namina, and like Lamina is more male, but basically it's, I believe, either the original name is Amina, and that's either a daughter or wife of the Prophet Muhammad. I'm not sure, but like our tribe was just like, let's put some spice on it. We're gonna put some seasoning, and it's gonna be bomb, and it is. Although I will say that Namina is a deeply country name, like it's your grandmother's name. But I love that people here don't know that. So they're like, Namina, that's such a nice name. And I'm like, yes, it is.
As you're talking, I'm both jealous and hopeful. Jealous because you were taught at a young age the greatness of the continent that we all come from, the history. And hopeful because when you said you came here, I think the desire of most people who immigrate to a place is to fit in. You don't want to stand out. You want to fit in. You want to embody all of the ideals of that place. This is why you come to another place and you want to, not stand out, and not be different and not be looked down upon. So, sometimes people change their names, they forget who they are, and this process is about remembering everything. So the lesson of that, how do we unlock that for those of us who never knew? You're remembering. Most of us never knew.
I think the thing about America is that the media here is so skewed for the most part in one direction that we never get to see these other stories, right? So like when I came here, it seemed to me that every Black story was slavery and civil rights. And while those stories are important, that's like a blip in our history. Like we have a history that spans centuries across many, many different cultures and countries. And I think that now the amazing thing is there are people like me, there's people like Jordan Ifueko, Roseanne Brown, Tomi Adeyemi, all these new young writers who are coming up and who are creating these worlds. So now people can go back and they can be like, number one, that they can think it's cool, because that's the thing. When I came here, I was an African booty scratcher. It's been very interesting to me that now everybody's like
Wakanda forever.
Yeah, everyone's Wakanda forever, and I'm so grateful for that, because like now finally when I say things, people don't look at me like I'm crazy. They're like, I see you, I feel you. So I think that culture is changing, and like people are remembering and unfurling because we, the artists, are here and creating places and spaces to hold that, That's definitely my purpose in life. I know it's many others, to create those spaces where we as Black people and brown people and people of the diaspora can look at ourselves and know that we are beautiful and we are majestic, and know, more importantly, that we come from many, many different sources. Like, I know people always say kings and queens, but I'm like, not only that, like, that's cool, but, we were also like farmers, like enjoying ourselves on the land. We were also blacksmiths, we were tricksters, we were magicians, we were all these many different things. And I hope that, like, as this sort of movement continues, people are able to embrace all of that.
As you're talking, art is what gave us Christopher Columbus discovering America. It was Washington Irving, a novelist, who gave us parts 1, 2, and 3 of a Columbus story that didn't exist and that became codified in our history as a truth. It was Birth of a Nation that codified the image of Black people as shiftless and lascivious and immoral and dumb, childlike. One man, D.W. Griffith, did that in a movie. And so we have to counter that. For every action, there must be an equal and opposite reaction. So we got years to make up. We got to double down. I'm looking forward to Zamunda and Coming to America, Coming to number 2 America.
Me too. I'm so ready for that.
And more Black Panther, and more of people like you and Tomi Adeyemi and the other people that you mentioned. Namina Forna, demons with Black people. We are very, I say, spooky at the same time. We believe very deeply. You tackling demons. Tell us about these demons and the Gilded Ones.
All right. So, how to answer this question? All right. So this is my thing. As an African, as a Black person, I have seen, and as a woman, I have seen the ways in which we are demonized, right? We are told that our cultures are not equal, are not worthy. And not only that, we're told that our native religions, our spiritual practices, and all these things are the work of Satan and demons and all these, So I wanted to really examine that. I wanted to examine the idea of how you demonize things, number one, that you don't understand, but more importantly, things that you want other people to not attach to, right? So if you make something the other, if you make a group of people demons and you say their practices are demonic and you say all of these things are demons, spirits, and whatever, then you sort of lessen their value. And you never actually have to commit this violence yourself. It is a violence. It is a violence of the soul, a spiritual, a mental, and emotional violence that you enact on another person. And so that was sort of where I was coming from when I thought of this idea of here are a group of women who are basically superpowered, and you're telling them, hey, all of you guys are demons. You bleed gold, you're faster, you're stronger, you're demons.
So tackling that, and as you're talking, I'm also thinking it is a way of weakening that strength, right? To demonize somebody. You take away the very thing that makes them what they are, because they're going to fight to not be that, because who wants to be a demon? So that's another level of evil to plant something like that, particularly in young people,
But I mean, if you look around, just look at this is why I went into media. This is why I became a writer, a novelist, and a screenwriter, was because I understood that people become what you tell them they are. That is the power of media. If you say it long enough, and we have seen this, if you say it long enough and in so many different ways, it sinks into a cellular level, and that is what you become. And that's why it's so important for us in media to always look at the perceptions that we are putting into the world. I really think we need to focus on what are the ethics of media, because we have so much influence and so much power in how people not only think about other people, but how they think about themselves.
It's literally the word becomes flesh. The word becomes flesh. The power of that word, the word that you speak into the earth, does not return void. We have to be real. You're so correct, which is why, I love words. But I'm also real right now, fiercely protective of how we frame ourselves, what we allow ourselves to call one another, even, that is so important.
Oh, yes.
The Gilded Ones, the cover, as I mentioned, is beautiful. Let's give a shout out to the illustrator, to the artist.
This is the illustrator. I will shout his praises to, I shout it to literally everyone. His name is Tara Josu. He is amazing. Because I'm pretty sure my editor was just hey, I have this idea, and he's done. And I just see this picture, and when I tell you I was blown away, I was whoa. I love it so much. Tara Josu.
Okay.
Yeah.
Spell the first name.
Tara.
It's a guy.
Second. Yes. Okay. Second word is Josu.
Okay, that's exactly how I spelled it. All right, Tara Josu. This is a part of a trilogy. How many? Okay. Are you finished with book 3 in your mind? Do you know how it's going to end?
I know how it's going to end. I'm almost done editing book 2. So yes, the story continues.
Okay, and I think that's important, because I find, and I said this about George R.R. Martin, who's the bane of my existence, because I've committed a lot of hours reading Game of Thrones before there was an HBO anything, and that has come and gone, and this man still hasn't finished the damn series, and I feel like he didn't know how to end it, and so he left it up to HBO, who's horrible at ending a series. And now we don't know what actually happens to the damn dragons in the book, because it became a phenomenon. And then I think he lost interest in finishing, as opposed to J.K. Rowling, who actually knew how Harry Potter was going to end. Before she finished it, she had the ending, whether it was going to be 6 books or 7 books, she didn't know, but she knew how that thing was going to end. And as a result, perfection. Say what you want about her, that's your business. The book series, yes, in my opinion. This is my opinion. I read a lot.